seems that the way things happened in February and March should really be looked at as a model for the nation in how we should work with protesters and exercise their First Amendment rights. And given that, it's not very clear to me what the problem is with the status quo. Like, what are we trying to fix with, these new policies?
I think number one, so that we have a policy that's very clear. I don't think it's been clear to everybody what their requirements are, what the timing was when we were looking to address that issue. I think it's also the desire to make sure that it's enforced consistently, regardless of what group it is. I think that's the two key things that we're looking to achieve here.
So it never really has been enforced until this
No,
moment?
I think it has, but I don't know that it's always been clear to people what their requirements were going to be. We're trying to be consistent with each group and how we treat them. Yeah, there's parts of this that will be new for many people, and that's why we have part of this as what we're calling an educational period for the next couple of weeks. And we really do. We want to work with individual groups, and I think wherever it is, there it is. And I think the chief and his team have been very, very accommodating and looking to do that to people. And I thank you for the comment about how it's been handled here versus how it's been handled elsewhere. And I think what we're getting to that with the voluntary compliance and the open communication of how we can have events at the Capitol that are peaceful, to give people their opportunity to express their First Amendment rights, and that we do that in an orderly, safe, and secure manner. I think that's the objective of all of us.
Chris, if I can just add, I want to just mention to you, what you see in this document, a lot of this information has been in place for some time in Chapter 2. It just that we try to clarify it and make it clear so everyone, because when we talk about the administrative code, people don't seem to understand what we're talking about. The major majority of the stuff that's in this document right now is in Chapter 2.
And the stuff that isn't?
I can't say there's anything different. I don't want to go on record and say that maybe one
we have the person that's responsible for writing the document right here. He could tell us if he's deviated from Chapter 2 at all.
No, this is all based on Chapter 2.
Everything
that's in this document
is Chapter 2 right now.
Everything that's in this document, our legal team believes we have the authority and the responsibility, and it's covered within Chapter 2 of the administration.
Would you please restate that? You're facing away from some of us when you're talking.
I'm sorry. That our legal team, when they were putting together this document, relied on Chapter 2 of the Administrative Code. So we believe everything we have in the document we can tie back to an authority that's given to us.
Well, an authority, but not the specific rules you're talking about. You say that that Chapter 2 gives you the authority to create these rules and to change them, but not that these rules are the way they were written in for Chapter 2.
If there wasn't the exact specifics in it, we believe we have the authority to develop.
Okay, so that's different. So the four-person.
No, I don't know that I would say that it's different. I would say that we've now
it is a different
clarified and put
statement.
in the document what has been past practice. We're trying to capture that so that people.
So four
understand
people gathering for whatever purpose. That is something that has been a policy in the past?
I think that's something that we've defined there. I don't know that it necessarily has been defined.
Has it ever?
And again, I can't answer the legal question.
Well, that isn't a legal question. This is a policy question about, I'm trying to clarify the policy, and you said that this is, that it ties back directly to Chapter 2.
When we're looking at who needs a permit and who doesn't, my position would be to err on the side of getting a permit, and at least applying for one, because then at a minimum, you know what other activities are taking place.
So if I'm going to bring a few family members to see the tree, and maybe we're going to make a political statement at the same time, I need to get a permit in order to do this first?
I think if it's a rally, we would say yes, and that's another time where you need to submit the permit application, talk with the Capitol Police, and we can work through those issues.
You're defining it, though, if I bring 3 family members to come to see the Christmas tree, and if we want to
Again, you're talking about a hypothetical. If you have an application, I'd say submit it, and we can have that discussion.
No, I'm asking about the rules, the policy. This is not a legal question or a hypothetical. I need to put in, I am asking, if I want to bring 3 family members to come and see the holiday tree.
If you're coming, like anybody else, if you're coming to the Capitol and you're not looking to have it be a rally, then no, you don't.
But because we may all have some sentiment we want to express at the same time, is that then going to turn it into a rally? What are the instructions to the police officers?
I think it's a practical matter too. If you're looking to have an event, then you do need a permit. And if you're looking to take that event into there, and again, that's something we'll have to work out with you on an individual basis.
But this meeting here is to clarify these new rules, and that's all I'm asking, because obviously with the upcoming holiday season and with the holiday tree in the rotunda, it's a nice opportunity to bring people. This is
Absolutely.
exactly the kind of situation we're trying to clarify, at least I'm trying to clarify, to find out what I need to apply for in advance in order to bring family into the Capitol, or friends, or whomever.
And I think as a practical matter as well, and those of you who've dealt with the Capitol Police in the past, they're very easy to deal with. If it becomes something that starts to escalate, they'll have a discussion with you. If it's not something that you can work through and you just want to have your family here and say, God bless America, I don't think that's a rally.
I'm doubting that's what I'd be saying.
But, okay.
Okay, I'm next.
Yeah.
My name's Dept from Wisconsin.
Good work.
Accessibility advocate among other things, and I worked this spring to end the segregation scheme in this building that we had for about a month, where we horribly segregated entrance access for the disabled. I'm pleased to see that the provision in here is reasonably competent about respecting that principle of universal access.
Thank you.
But I have some follow-up questions about, you can't manage what you can't measure, right? And to honor our hero, Ronald Reagan, he actually said something useful once, which was, trust but verify. So I'm requesting that a copy of the preceding policy or policies so that we can do the work that you haven't done to demonstrate what's been changed. And furthermore, I want to know what's the baseline for staffing of security and in this building so that we can distinguish what's extra staffing based upon a situation of extra occupancy.
To your first question, I think we can find those documents. I don't personally have those, of what the permit application looked like in the past. I think there was a 2-page one.
I can wait for hours, it's fine, we don't need it till tomorrow.
But we can find that. And to the other one, I think each event is going to be different. And if you have an event...
I'm
that
asking
need to
for the
discuss-
background material, it's got nothing to do with what...
No, that's in the second.
And it should not wait until we test it with an event.
To your second question, about how you allocate police resources. We have to know the nature
No,
of
we
your
need to
event.
know your normal staffing levels, like how about a year's timesheets for how you staff the building?
I think if you're looking for the information like that, that's probably an open record.
That's open
And
records.
We can put that in as...
You're
Put it-
allowed to
put it open
volunteer
records
information
request.
without us filing an open record request.
Please consider his request to be a public record request, which can be made orally. But it's still a legitimate public record request if it's made orally, and you need to honor it. We will as soon as this is over. That doesn't mean you can ignore it, though.
We didn't say we'd ignore it, we
No.
actually put it in writing. Can I say one thing?
Sure.
Sorry.
I want to, we worked for how many months now? 12 months. I told everyone here, when it comes down to public safety, when it comes down to deploying personnel, law enforcement personnel, we do not, we won't find a police agency in this state, I believe, around the country, who's going to give up the right to dictate, not dictate, but provide the information on how we're going to provide that security. That is a confidential thing that we work amongst law enforcement to do. We're the experts, we're the training personnel in that area, and honestly, that's how it's done. We do not share the information how we can't give that out. We can't.
That is fine, so long as the expense goes to the general public like it's normally supposed to. When you start making it a poll tax for walking in this building, it's a different issue. This policy wants to shift costs back on the users of this, it's a user fee, okay? We got a policy that's raising taxes on specific people for making use of this building. That's objectionable, it's against all of the history of this building in the state, and I don't know of any legal basis for it. I'd like to see the statutory basis for your ability to impose fees, and I'd like to also know where will the money go, and how will we see transparently what's done with it.
We believe that authority is within Chapter 2.
You can believe anything, but we want to see the evidence.
Chapter 2 is available to everybody.
Chapter 2 does not talk about what you're going to do with the money. That's an administrative and policy matter that you are forming and doing. You've stated you're going to do these policies. You must have some mechanics in place. We want to see them.
I don't have the specifics of where the funds would go.
Okay, but we need to have, can you answer the question, where will the funding go?
As I mentioned, I don't have
what
the
account will they go into?
I don't have
I
the
pay
specifics.
$50 an hour for Officer Weiss, where will the money go?
I don't have the specifics.
Well, we need an answer. That's a very simple question.
And I don't have the answer.
How could you put out this policy without having that in place? You can't collect money if you don't have a policy in place that is open and demonstrated to the public that it's proper.
Do you want me to get your name and address and email, and I can send you all that information as soon as I get it together? Can I step over here and I can
Yes,
write it all down?
I'm Craig Spalding, I'm from Madison, and I got here a little late.
Yeah, I'm Chris Shane here. I'm from the Department of Administration.
Okay. I'd like to give you this because obviously the Department of Administration is not seen as, with all due respect, and I would like to know, maybe you covered this already, but I'm wondering why we've been singing since, March or April, I'm not sure the exact date, but how come all of a sudden there's this almost, it's like a knee-jerk response or something. This was dropped, and it went into effect immediately, and we've had no problems whatsoever except for when a group of rogue protesters from what I'll say is the other side showed up. And there were wheelchairs hitting people or whatever. I wasn't there that day. There's a gentleman that's always coming in to the sing-along when we're singing about love and peace and healing, and they are agitating us. How come now all of a sudden, is it because the employee handbook is going to be dropped? Is it going to be because you want to lock down the Capitol as quickly as possible, keeping us from coming in with our children and our families? And Katie, there's no longer a holiday tree. Since 1985 it's been called the holiday tree, but it's now called the Christmas tree. And one other thing is, on Friday morning I asked Chief Tubbs to see the permit for the event that was being held on at 8 o'clock or 8:15 on Friday morning, and he said that there was a permit and that I could see it, but not right now. That we need to, we're busy with the lighting of the Christmas tree, and asked me to trust him. And so I asked further and further. I just said, let's just take a look at it. Let's go down to your office and take a look at it. She said it was in his office. I never saw it. Shortly after the ceremony, I asked to see it again, and he said it would be more records request. So I guess there's supposed to be transparency, but there's not transparency. I'm sorry? You're interrupting while I'm talking.
I interrupted.
I feel, well, no, I heard him. I feel like I deserve the respect to be listened to as a citizen.
Okay.
So I know I asked a lot of questions. First of all, I would really like to know why this has been dropped now when there's been nothing but peaceful protests and the singers. And this is a perfect example of what goes on. Right there. Thank you very much for demonstrating that.
I'd be happy to give a
Wait a minute. It isn't your turn.
And so I'd like to know that. I'd like to know why the permit was not shown to me when I asked for it. Because if we were singing on Friday, and we peacefully allowed our recall banner to be taken off of the railing without any resistance. In fact, we helped. Why aren't we getting the same from the other side? Chief Tubbs, I think, has done a tremendous job, even when the Republican leadership has come out and the Department of Administration has come out in the public saying that he should be reprimanded and possibly fired because of the way he has not been cracking heads or cracking skulls. I mean, this is ridiculous. So I would really like a detailed explanation of why this has come out now and what the actual intent of it is.
Good question.
Did you want to
Can I, on the request that you had to see the permit in reference to the event on Friday, I did say to him, it's in my office. It is there. It is valid.
But was it there when I asked you?
I'm going to answer your question. It was there. It was there prior to the event being in place, or we probably wouldn't have the event, okay? But let me go back a step further on this whole issue of the request for the permits. I did tell him that afterwards, I'd probably let him come down to my office and see it. I rethought that process. I felt, in my best recollection, that it was the proper procedure was to have a written request for that documentation, which I've done for other people's
That's
permits.
against the law. Sorry.
Can I finish? No, I didn't interrupt you.
I'm
okay?
sorry. Sorry.
didn't.
I apologize.
So I felt very strongly that a written, open records request was the proper way. There's been people who have asked me for permits for the event a few weeks ago.